everybody today. Good. Well, it was really good to get back to, get to work on what this team has created an opportunity for itself to be able to achieve this year, and everyone should be very motivated for the opportunity that the team has, and I think that everybody should also consider what they need to do to help the team in terms of what they have to do their job well and play winning football and make plays within the system and scheme, play with a lot of discipline, play with a lot of toughness. Obviously, the goal here is players have worked out on their own while we've been recruiting. We're going to have like 3 camp practices here today, tomorrow, and Monday to try to really focus on fundamentals, basic blocking, tackling, fundamental techniques of trying to get back into football condition, being physical, being able to sustain, getting ourselves back into condition relative to, wearing pads and that type of thing. So that's sort of the goal for now. And next Tuesday we'll start more of a sort of a game week type preparation for what we will do against Clemson. Coach Pruitt will be back on Sunday, and we'll welcome him back, and certainly happy for his opportunity that he has. He's done a wonderful job for us, and we'll do as much we can to support him to be able to do what he needs to do here to help our players and our team. And I appreciate what he's doing to show the gratitude that he has for how the players work for him all year to help have the success that helped him get the opportunity. It was really encouraging for me today to, I guess they'll graduate tomorrow, but I took pictures with 13 guys, really 13 guys on our team that will graduate tomorrow or walk tomorrow, and Rolando McLean came back and he graduated, and Glenn Coffey also is back and he graduated. So every time a guy goes out early for the draft, we always encourage him to come back someday and finish, and we've always tried to help our guys do that. And that brings the total to 25 guys that will play in this playoff game that have a degree. And that brings the total of 126 guys over the last 5 years that have played in their final game at Alabama with a degree. So that's, really special and pretty significant in terms of how well our guys have done academically here and how many of them create careers off the field, which is going to help them be more successful in life. I'd also like to congratulate Minka for winning the Thorpe and the Bednarik for Thorpe for defensive back of the year, and Bednarik for national defensive MVP. Also Rashawn Evans and Minka for making first team All-American. Bradley Bozeman, Jonah J.K., Ronnie Harrison, all those guys made second team All-American, and all the other guys that won postseason honors, whether it was all SEC, all freshmen, or whatever. We have 2 guys that actually qualify as soon as breaks start to be able to practice with the team at this point. They were both here today, but break doesn't officially start tomorrow, so they can start practicing tomorrow. That's Savion Smith and Jerez Parks. They cannot participate in the game, but they can practice with the team. We actually will make a release right after this, so I will tell you that we hired Pete Golding as an assistant coach. Technically, we're hiring him as a 10th coach, which we can do, but he can't be activated as a coach on the field until January the 9th. We'll address the other staff issues when we get finished playing. So we're not going to, I don't have time right now to do a search, get ready for this game, recruit, have an early signing date, and try to, hire coaches too. There's just not enough time in the day. So when we get more information about staff issues, we'll certainly pass them along to you. But right now, we don't have any more information relative to that.
We'll start with Chris Walsh.
Just early impressions on Clemson. How different is the offense with a different quarterback this year?
Well, I think they have a lot of the same concepts. They obviously have a very good offensive team. They're very productive. I think the quarterback now is probably even a better runner, if that's possible, than the guy we played against the last 2 years, who was probably the best player in college football, in my opinion. So they run a lot of the same concepts. They do a lot of the things. They do a lot of things on offense, a lot of motions, a lot of adjustments. It's a real challenging preparation, and they have very, very good players who do a great job of executing what they do. So this is just as good an offensive team as what we played against in the past. Probably, they've got a lot of guys back, and those guys know what they're doing, and they do a really good job of playing well together and executing together.
Come back over here with Charlie.
After the Auburn game, you said that the passing game didn't really, or really did a good enough job. What do you want to see out of them, and specifically Jalen, in these next couple weeks of practice?
Well, I think, we've had the same goal with the passing game as always. We want to have great balance in our offense. We have really good skill guys. We want to make explosive plays with those guys, and we have to be able to execute all phases of the passing game better, whether it's the quarterback's presence in the pocket in terms of reading, getting to the second read at times, executing the plays as they're designed, and same thing with pass protection, same thing with pass routes. So just the overall efficiency is everyone's responsibility, and I think that's something that we need to improve on. We need to make it a little easier in some ways so that we can get better execution. And we just got too many guys that can make plays that we need to be able to utilize their talents better, and that's something that we're going to work really hard on in this camp here.
In the back with Cecil.
Coach, there's been, even before the Auburn game, a lot of talk about the injured guys who are coming back. How did those guys look today? Do they work in guys who were first team, or are they first team, or does that make any difference?
Well, we don't really worry about the teams too much in these first 3 practices especially, but, Mac was able to practice, I wouldn't say 100% of the practice, but a significant amount where he has a chance to improve. Both, Christian and Terrell, both are really able to practice, full go. Minka is better. Hopefully we can keep him going and not have a setback, which is our goal. Ross Piercebacher is back. JC is back. The only guy that really didn't practice today.
There's 2 that are out for the season, and Hootie in.
Yeah, Hootie's out for the season. I think you all know that. And Sean Dion Hamilton. So I think that's it.
Come back here with Michael.
How does it work with Jeremy out these few practices in terms of coaching the middle linebackers and coaching the defense? Who's in charge of that?
Well, we're all kind of filling in where we can. But we have an intern who has worked with Jeremy all year long, Wes Neighbors, who has been in, knows everything that we do and what the guys are supposed to do. So for these just 2 practices that Jeremy's not going to be here, he's doing that. Toss was the other linebacker coach, so he's kind of overseeing it. So that's basically how we're operating for 2 days.
Come back over on this side with Chandler.
How, now that you had a couple weeks to kind of go through it with the early signing period, how, you've spoken about the early signing period before, but now that you've been in it and been in recruits' houses, what have you made of this early signing period being in the middle of it?
I didn't like it when we did it. I don't like it now. I don't think it's in the players' best interest. I don't see how it benefits anybody. It's really stressful for everyone. We're all trying to get ready for bowl games and playoff games, and we got a signing date right in the middle when we're going to be practicing for a playoff game. It was very stressful for a lot of coaches to get out and try to see as many guys as they could in December, accelerated everything. You don't have very much time to do that. If you're playing in your championship game, you have even less time to do it. But I think two things happen. I see more players getting pressured by some schools to sign early so that they don't get an opportunity from maybe a bigger school later, which I don't think is in the player's best interest, because a guy may have an opportunity to go to maybe a place that he's always wanted to go to, or maybe an SEC school, when he's getting pressured by somebody else to sign early. Then other guys are trying to make a decision about signing early or not signing early, and they've got all these new coaches and new coaching staffs, sort of bum rushing them to get them not to do that so that they get a chance to recruit them. Then you got guys that are waiting till February who we don't have very much control over who signs early and who doesn't. So how do you manage that number of guys that you might get? Maybe I shouldn't be speaking like this, but I have not talked to a coach who's happy with it, not one. Now, maybe they wouldn't say what I just said. Maybe they wouldn't say that, and they'll probably disagree with it just because I said it. But we're dealing with it. It is what it is. And we're managing it the best we can, and we're working with every player and trying to let them decide when they want to make their decision, and not really pressing them to make a decision, so that when they commit to us, they commit to all the things that we do here to help them be successful personally, academically, and athletically. And I think they ought to have the opportunity to evaluate that.
We're going to wrap up here with Mark. We've got to get Coach to
Just wondered if you had a chance to self-scout, particularly on third downs, on some of the struggles on both sides of the ball on third down.
I've been recruiting every day. All right, so, and I've been watching Clemson in the airplane. I don't know how many miles I went in the airplane. All right, so we are evaluating that. We did do a self-scout on that, and we will try to address it. But, there's only so much we can do, and, we've been really focused on recruiting for the last 3 weeks. Now we're going to go back and focus on football, and hopefully we'll do a better job in that area.